So in this tutorial, we're going to create a system to show notes on screen that will allow you to go next and right with the animations. You'll be able to hide and show text. You'll also be able to store the note into an array for later use. And we set it in a modular way, so you can just place a note actor in the world. And then using data assets, you can assign new note in the world. So the first thing we're going to do is just create a simple interaction system. So in the first person character, I'm going to do left mouse button, and we're going to do a line trace by channel. So for the start, we're going to get the first person camera, and then we're going to get world location. Then we want the forward vector. We're going to plus the world location like this. Forward vector, we're going to multiply. Right click the bottom node, change to a float. This number is how far the trace will go. We can hook that up. So this goes into the end, and then the start will go into our location like this. And we're just going to draw debug type for duration. So let's see. If I left click now, you can see we are doing a trace. Next thing, we're going to create a blueprint interface. I call this BPI underscore interactable. And in here, I'm going to add a new function, which is called interact with object, and then compile that. So now we have a basic interaction. Actually, what we can do here, just to finish this off, is we can do a branch, and we can say we break the out hit. We can say if it's a blocking hit, we want to, on the hit actor, we want to do interact with object, like so. So we will do a line trace. If we hit anything, we will try and send this message. If the object doesn't implement this, it will do nothing. Okay, so next, let's create the actual object that will have the node. So we will call this BP underscore node. This. Let's just organize this a bit better. So we'll call this notes. Drag that in there, and then we'll make a new folder called note. So we're going to use data assets for this, just to make it a lot easier to have a modular system. So the first thing we need to do is create a primary data asset, and this is going to be what the data assets basically copy. So we make one primary, and then every future asset basically copies this one primary. So let's do that. And we also, before that, we need one thing, which is a structure. I call this s underscore readable. And in here, we need two things. So we need the note text. So this is the text that is going to be displayed from the note. And we also need a texture 2D, because we're going to have like the note have an actual texture, or maybe images in the background. And I'm just going to call this image. And our note text, we're going to have multi-line text, so we can have multiple lines. Okay. So now we can create the primary data asset. So right click, blueprint class, go to all classes and do primary. and primary data asset. So I'm going to call this PDA underscore note. So in here, this is where we create the sort of outline of what is going to be in our notes. So in here, this is what we create the outline of what will be in our notes. We need two variables. The first one will be a text. That will be the document name, because we want to have it at the top so it shows the name of the document. And the next one is going to be the S underscore note. Sorry, what did I call it? Readable. So it's S underscore readable. This is going to be the pages. And make sure on pages you come to the top right and change it to an array so we can have multiple pages. Okay, that's all we need to do for that. So let's do a couple of notes as an example. So what we can do is right click, come to miscellaneous and search for data asset. And it's looking for a class. So what we can do is PDA note. Here we go. So let's do DA underscore example1 and we'll have example2. So if we open this now, we can see the document name. So we'll do example page 1. And the pages we're going to add for this one, we'll add 2 pages. So as we can see, we have note text. So we can say, hello, this is the first page of example page 1. And we can add a picture. So the next page, we can say, hello, this is the second page of example page 2, page 1. This should be example note, sorry. Let's change that so it makes sense like this. Example note 1. And we'll do the red icon like this. So now we have one note that is 2 pages. But let's do another one that only has 1 page. So here we can say document name, example note 2. And we can say this page is all alone how unfortunate. And let's give this one this Android icon, like so. Okay, so now we have 2 notes set up. What we want to do now is we want to actually create the widget that is going to show the note. So I'm going to make a new folder and then call this widget. And in here, we want a user interface widget blueprint. And we click user widget. I'm going to call it WPP underscore note display. This. And we're going to open this. So now we're in here. Let's set up the widget. So the first thing is we're going to add a canvas. And then we want a border. And the border is going to fill the screen like so. So in this border, we want to come to the brush here, brush color. And we're going to set these values. So we're going to say 0, 0, 0. The alpha we want to be 0.5. So it's faded out, but you can still see through it, like so. Next, we're going to add an overlay. Get this. And then we want a overlay inside that one. Now, this internal overlay, we want a vertical box. Like this. This overlay here, the padding on it, we're going to make it so it's fill horizontal and fill vertical. The vertical box here, we're going to do the same, like so. Next, we're going to add a size box. And this size box, I'm going to select to fill, and it's going to be center aligned and center aligned horizontal and center aligned vertically. So the size, I found 1024 by around 860. Gives a nice square like this in the middle. And in here, we're going to add an image. And we're going to name this image here. And we're going to make it variable. We're going to call this img underscore. Oh, sorry, this is a size box. Image variable img underscore document, like so. Okay. Next thing, we're going to go back up to this overlay here, and we're going to add a size box here. And we're going to add a text, like so. So this size box here is going to be center aligned and center aligned horizontal and center aligned vertically. And it's going to have a width override and a height. So width, I'm going to say 900, and the height I'm going to do as 600. So this is where the text will actually show on the screen. So you can modify this in whichever way you want. Okay. Next, we want to go and create a horizontal box. Now this one, we're going to put on the first overlay here. So if you look, we have overlay, overlay, and then this horizontal is part of this overlay here. In this horizontal, we're going to add another horizontal. And then we're going to have some buttons. Let's put some buttons. So we have one button, and we'll add some text to it, like so. This horizontal box, what we can do is we can put that vertically aligned, and we can say bottom align, like this. And it should then go down to the bottom. Why is it not doing that? Let me check. Okay, I see what I've done. So we want this horizontal, not this one. So this one here, we want it to be center aligned and then bottom aligned vertically. So it's at the bottom. So let's name our buttons. We're going to call this btn underscore previous. And what we can do is just Control D, and we will duplicate it. So we want actually first. So these buttons, we're going to add some padding to them. The first one, we don't need padding, so we can add the next. And this one will be button next. And padding, we're just going to do 50 on the left. So we've got a bit of a breakup here. Next button is going to be show text. And this button is so that when maybe you just want the image and you want the players to press a button, and that will show the text if they don't want to actually look at the image. And the last one is going to be a close button, like this. So what we can do next is on the text, we can say, we can go previous, next. Where is the text? There we go. Next. And say, there we go. Show text, and then close like this. So they're all different sizes, and what you can do is you can wrap these with size boxes so they will all be equal. I'm just going to leave this like this for now. Okay. And let's see, is there anything else we need? There is. So in between previous and next, we're going to add some text. And this is going to be txt pages. So this is going to show how many pages are actually left. We can just center this like that. We will probably want to put some padding on the left, like 50 again. And maybe on the right, we can put 20. Put it in the middle, like this. So it will actually show how many pages there are to cycle through. And the last one is going to just be some text. So that can go just onto the canvas here. And we're going to anchor it to the top and Control Shift. Oh, hang on. Let's put the text back in. Grab the text block, anchors, Control Shift, so it goes in the middle. Size the content, and we'll drop it down a bit. So we will say the position, Y will come down 30 like that. Like this is just a rough idea of what it could look like. So before we program it, we're going to do some animations for it to show on screen. So we're going to have a few animations, and the animations are going to be tied to this overlay here, the second one, because this just shows the actual document. So click animations and animation, and we're going to call move forward. And we want another one, so we can Control D and call this move backwards, like this. Okay. Move forwards. We're going to click on the overlay, click add, and then overlay. And this plus here for track, we need a render opacity, and we need a transform, and also click add again, and we need an event track trigger. So let's set this up for moving forwards. So the first thing we want to do is say 0.5 seconds. We want the render opacity to go to 0, so we can change it and press enter, and now that's made a keyframe. And we also want to set the transform, the translation on X to -2000. So what it's going to do is it's going to fade out and then go away, like so. Then, literally 1 second or 0.5 of a second after, we want to set the render opacity again to 0, and then set the translation to 2000. So it basically jumps over to the other side. And then on the 1 second line, we're going to set the translation back to 0 and the render opacity 1. If we play it, it goes away and then the new one comes on. And because we're doing this off screen, you can't actually see it change like that. It just looks like it's going to the next page. Also, at this point, when we do, when everything is gone off screen, we're just going to add a new event here, like this, which is something we need a little bit later. So backwards is basically the same, it's just reverse. So we click overlay, we need a event track again. And then we also need a render opacity and a transform. So for this one, it's the same, but in reverse. So 0.5 seconds, we want that to go to 0. And instead of minus 2000, we want 2000. So it now goes that way. And then at 1 second, render opacity 1, and then the X to 0. So if we go like that. So I made a mistake there. So this next frame, we actually want this to jump to minus 2000 like this. So now it goes off the screen and then jumps over and then comes back that way. So like that's moving the page forward, and then that one's moving it backwards like that. And same as before, we just want to add another render opacity 0 here and the event there like so. Now we have these two animations going backwards and going forwards. So now it's time to actually program this in. So in the graph, we need a few functions that we're just going to create straight away. Update page count, fill next page, and then fill page. Like so. We need some variables. So this one is going to be called next page index. That's going to be an integer. Well, then we need a data, which is going to be a PDA underscore note reference, and that needs to be exposed on spawn and instance editable. We need another integer, which is going to be called page index, a boolean called b is animation playing, like that. And the final one is going to be a meta sound. Let's see where it is. Meta sound source, I believe it is. Yeah. And that's going to be the sound. So this is if you want to have a sound when you change the page. I'm not going to set this up like with a meta sound, but I'll set it up in a way that it will work. Okay, so first thing, let's update the page count. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a few things here. We're going to make it so that if the page note is only one page, we're going to hide this section because we don't need it. So what we can do is we're going to get the button for the next, the previous, and the where is it? I need to make sure you set this text block here to variable because we need that here. We need the pages here. And all we're going to do here is we're going to say set visibility like this. And we're just going to plug these in here. And like this, we're just going to say hidden. No, sorry, we're going to say visible because this is going to only show if the pages actually have more than one. Okay. Next, we're going to grab txt pages and we're going to go set text. So this one. No, sorry. It's set text and it's this one. Set text text. And we're going to do format text. So the way this works is we can have things in curly brackets and they will add as new notes. So we're going to add I'm just going to change my keyboard because it's in finish. I'm going to do curly bracket, page, a forward line, and then bracket total pages. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the next page index and we're going to say plus 1, oh, like that. That is going to go into the page. The data we're going to pull in and do, we're going to get pages, and then we're going to do length and plop that into total pages like this. That's everything for this. Fill next page. Let's do that. So fill next page. We're going to need a sequence. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to set the page index to the next page index and plop that in. After that, we're going to grab the, have I not set, hang on. Make sure you set the text here. It'll be txt doc note text. Make sure you set that to a variable like so. Okay, and now that's done, we're going to grab the where is it? I just created it. The note text, and we want the image. So from the note text, we're going to do set text, and the document we're going to set brush from texture. Okay. Move that to there, that to there. So the text, what we do is we can pull in the data. We can do pages. Oh, pages. Get pages. We can get a copy, and that is going to come from the page index here. We can right click and split. We can put the note text into text and the image into image, like so. And then we're going to do a branch, and we're going to say that if the data pages the length is greater than 1. So if there's more than one page in this note, if it's true, we want to pull in update page count. If it's false, we're going to grab the next button, the previous button, and the text pages button, text, and we're going to set the visibility to hidden. So what this is going to do is it's going to, when we swap the page, it's going to, or when we spawn the note in, it's going to basically fill the next pages in with the data. And if it's only one page, it will remove the buttons because we don't need them. So the next one is called fill page. And this one, we need a input of the PDA underscore note. And we're just going to call this data. And here we're going to set the data variable to this. Yeah. Next, we're going to grab the document name that I don't think I've set to variable again. So txt underscore document name. Document name, I'm going to grab that, and we're going to set text like this. In text is going to be the data document name like this. And we're going to set the page index, next page index to 0, just to be sure that we reset everything to normal. We're going to do a branch, and we're going to say the data here we're going to get the pages and we're just going to say is empty. So this is just a check to make sure that there's something in the note. And if it's false, we're going to do fill next page and fill in the document. And we're going to return. And if it's true, so the pages are empty for some reason, we're just going to return like this. Right. Next is we need to go to the event graph and do stuff here. So on pre-construct, we're going to fill the page. And the data is going to come from data here, like this. That's everything for pre-construct. Next is going to be the buttons. So we can click here on the side, and we can click on press, unclicked. So we have next and we have previous. We also want close, and we also want show text. Okay, so let's do next first. We're going to do the branch, and we're going to say, is the animation playing? So this is the animation for moving the pages. If it's false, we're going to do another branch, and we're going to just say, move these down. Next page index plus 1 equal to the data pages length. So do we actually have a next button to press? Like, is it going to do anything? If it's false, we want to set the next page index, and we're going to clamp this. The value is going to be next page index plus 1, like this. And the maximum is going to be just this here, the data pages length. If this is fine, we're going to play animation. And the animation for here, because we're on next, is going to be the move forward. We pop that in there, and then we're good. Then we want to say, is animation playing? And we're going to say it is playing. Then we can do play sound 2D, and we can pop our sound in. So this is how you would play the sound for the pages turning. Okay, so let's do previous next. So previous, we do the same. We say branch, and we get is animation playing. If it's false, we're going to do another branch, and we're going to say is the next page index equal to 0. If it's false, we're going to set the next page index, and we're going to clamp it, and we're going to say next page index minus 1, and then the max will be the length of the pages array. Then we're going to play animation, and that's going to be move backwards like this. Then we're going to set the animation is playing, and we're going to play sound 2D, and the sound is going to be sound like this. Okay. Next, we're going to do event on animation finished. And this is just basically going to say when these animations are finished, we're going to grab the set animation playing and set it back to 0. Okay, we're almost done. So we still need to do the event that we set in the animations. If you remember here, move forwards and backwards. So we can just go to move forward, double click on it to get it here. And we can call this move for, we can just call this forwards. And we can do the same for the backwards, like this. Backwards. And all we do here is we say fill next page. Like so. This, the final one is the show text button. So this one here. And what this will do is show the text that should be here. So what we can do is by default, we can say that the text is hidden. And when we push the button, we can do a visibility check and we can switch on visibility. So if that is hidden, the note text, we can set visibility. Set visibility. So if it's visible, we set to hidden. And if it's hidden, we set to visible like this. So now that's done, we can go to our note actor and set that up. So first thing we need to do is we can get rid of this and we can say class defaults. We want to go to class settings, sorry. We want to implement our interface, so BPI interactable. So interact with object. Let's start. So the first thing we're going to do is right click and create a widget. And this is going to be the WBP note display, like this. Right click the return value and promote to a variable. I'm going to call this note widget, like that. And then we can pull in note widget as get, right click and convert to validated get. And just say if this is not valid, we want to, oh, sorry, wrong thing for this, sorry. We need to variable, and that will be our PDA underscore note object reference that will be instance editable and exposed on spawn. So just make sure the eye is clicked and the expose is. And this will be the data asset. I apologize for that. So we pull this into the world and we get it. And we convert to a get. And basically what we want to do is make sure that this actor actually has some data assigned to it. If it's true, we can do a is valid on it. And then we can set the note widget again. Add to viewport. Set input mode to UI only. We can get player controller. And then what we can do is we can grab the player controller again. Say show mouse cursor. And enable that. And then we have that done. So the data here is just going to be the data asset there. So what this means is when we put this note into the world, that we can give a mesh to, let's see, static mesh, And then I'll use my old favorite, the box. Oh, is it cube? Sorry. Where is it? Cube 1. Yeah. So let's see what happens if we do this. We left click, so nothing is happening. So let's see. So as I said, it would help if I assigned the note to it. So example 1 and example 2. So let's see. We click this, so we now have the note. So the mouse cursor isn't showing. So let's fix that. What have I done? The note, show mouse cursor. So if we tick that on, like that. So now let's see. So we can do show text. So the text appears. We can do next. This is the second page of example note 1. We have this now. We can swap between it. If we try and go next, it won't. So we can show text. We can't close it yet. So we need to do that. So let's go to our close button. Yeah. So to close it, what we're going to do is we are going to just close and remove from parent, basically. So what we do is we can set input mode game only. And we need the player controller. We want to set mouse, show mouse cursor to 0 and remove from parent. So let's try this now. So here we go. We have example note. We can flick between and we can close. If we check this note only has one page, so the buttons don't show up and everything else still works. So the only other thing we could do is we could make it so you could save the note for later. But to do this, whichever way you do it, I'm just going to do it on the player for now. We want a EDA note object reference, and we can call this note array. And like it's in the name, we want this to be an array. So like this. So what we can do is we can say when we do this, we can add another thing onto this function here. So if we go back into our interactable here, we can add an input and it will be first person character because that's what I'm using. We can just call it player ref. So now we have a player ref and we can say when we interact with it, what we want to do is we want to get the note array like this. And we want to add unique. And what unique is means that if the note array already contains reroute, if the note array already has this in it, then it won't add it again. It will be unique to it. If we want to then add and make it, I'm pointing it to the wrong spot. There we go. Let's reroute this. We'll do this and then just like this. There we go. This here is going to be the data asset. What we can do then is we can say, like we could do a branch here, And we could say the condition, we will just promote to a variable. We can say save note, question mark. And another one could be destroy on read. So we can say save note, if true, do this. And then another branch, destroy on read, true, is valid, self, destroy actor, save note. If we false, we just plug it straight back into there. Make these two instance editable. So now when we have the note, we can say save note and destroy and read. So if I come up here and I click, I get the note and it's been destroyed from the world. So we're getting a problem here, which is because of this. Because we've changed the interface, we just need to add a reference to self here. And what that will do now is it will be able to communicate with the player and do that. So if, say, for example, this note here, we don't want it to destroy. We read this one, and then we close it. It's destroyed. We read this one, we close, and it's still there. So I hope this has been useful. I took inspiration from, I think Silent Hill and Resident Evil has this type of thing. You can expand on this. So these buttons here, you could have a button to play audio or do whatever. But I hope this has been useful. Remember, if you want the text to be shown immediately, you can just come in and click on the note text here and have that invisible instead. So if we try it now, the note will be visible, and then you can show and hide text here if you want. So I hope this has been useful. If you like, leave a like. If you have any suggestions, please write them in the comments. I have a interesting video coming up next that is going to be, it may be a long one, but it should be quite good. So if you want to support me, I have a Patreon that I need to upload more to. I have a Buy Me a Coffee, and I will see you in the next video.